Hello everyone, how are you doing? My name is Rehan and I am from Karachi, Pakistan. And today I have with me a fine young man from Houston, Texas. And we will be having a conversation about working from home. How did Nathan started to work from home and a little bit of his background, what kind of work does he do? And how can now the whole world, which is locked up in the planet, take advantage of working from home opportunities and people who have never worked from home? What are the challenges which they are facing? And what are the things which they should be aware of and prepare for? So, hi Nathan, thank you for your time. Introduce yourself. What kind of work do you do from home?
That sounds good. So I work for a software company. It's actually based in San Francisco. My boss and the rest of my team work out in an office in Minneapolis, but I live in Houston. So there's really no office for me to go to, and all my work is pretty much digital. I don't have to meet with people in person. So for that reason, I've been working from home, and I've been working from home on and off for about 5 years now. Um, the times I haven't worked from home have been during uh, doing implementations where I would travel to the customer site a few days a week, but then otherwise continuously working from home. Um, and working from home is a difficult thing, I would say, because people don't actually see you working. They only you have to spend a lot of time and energy, I think, in reminding people that you are doing things and that you are working, and kind of making sure that your work is visible in a way that people see. It's tempting to be in a lot of meetings because obviously people know if you're in a meeting or not, but work doesn't actually get done in meetings. So you should try to minimize meetings as much as you can, but kind of providing some visibility into uh, what you're working on, how you're working on it, and the results you're accomplishing, and how that benefits the organization and your boss and your colleagues is a constant challenge. Um, you miss out on the day-to-day conversation at the office. I think it's especially difficult to work from home when the rest of your people are not working from home, because they just talk to each other. They go to each other's desk, and they go to lunch with each other, and they have other activities that they do in the office, and you're sort of um, you know left out. Yeah, I mean, you're like literally not there. So it can be difficult from that standpoint.
So, what does your work comprise of? What exactly do you do? What kind of support? Is it a software you have to fix, or is it a code you have to fix? Is it like, do you have a hammer and a shovel and you have to go and fix things? Is it people? What do you do exactly?
Yeah. So inside of the support organization, we have a lot of people that if you have some trouble over software or have a question, you just email support, and they manage that, and they try to fix your problem and solve it. And then they're hooked in with like an engineering support team that the problems they can't solve gets passed on to with like the people with that deep technical knowledge. I actually work outside of those organizations on projects, kind of looking at what are we getting support requests for, and what changes can we put in place to avoid from getting those support requests. Is it some change in our product? Is it by creating a tool that we give to our customers that helps with that? Is it changing our training? Is it changing the way that we do our implementations? And with the goal of trying to actually reduce the amount of support that customers need. So it's all online, sitting in front of a computer, um, typing. From my 7-year-old nephew who sees me working, probably can't tell any difference between me working and playing a video game. So, but uh, it's a matter of looking for those opportunities to try to remove the need for support, and then working with various teams to implement that, which is a lot of coordinating and um, a lot of trying to convince other people that making this change will have that impact, and then getting the change made and be able to show, yes, it did have that impact, so that now you have the um, sort of the political capital to go and make further changes.
I totally get it, and that's my favorite job at work. Also, that our I tell my customer service guys, your job is that there should be no customer service. Nobody should ever call you. It should all be automated, and so that nobody needs you. So that's a fantastic job. So basically, what you do is you look at the processes, you look at the emails, you analyze everything, and you try to figure out ways where people can self-service themselves somehow, or you can simply recreate a process which nobody even needs to email you, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. Now, one challenge I have is I have a background as being a programmer, and I love programming. And there's ways to sort of help, um, you know, some of our customers and other people doing implementations by creating tools. And I've been working on creating tools like that because that's sort of also a passion of mine, is to actually program as well. So there is some development that I do too.
Okay, and you use what coding language to code?
JavaScript and Python.
Okay, fantastic. So, so one of the things you said, you have kids at home, and how do you manage working with kids at home? Do you have a separate office room? Do you sit outside? It feels like you're sitting outside right now, and as you seem like you want to be outside, kind of a person. So, how does that work?
Yeah, I normally work from my front porch. So this is my it looked like I muted myself as I was moving the computer around. But I've been exploring other places. I found a place in my garden recently that's a nice place to set up a desk. Um, Change is important, and that's been what I was doing. But in terms of the kids, my two oldest, my two sons, they're 21 and 17, so they're not an issue. My 7-year-old nephew, he needs constant attention, and we've been essentially sending him um, over to my sister's house, who has some children for him to play with during the day. So that's how we've been kind of managing that. But um, but it's difficult. My wife also works from home, and she's um, has a full-time job too. And I mean, she doesn't normally work from home, but because of this COVID-19 thing, she's working from home now. So that that's kind of everything. Yeah.
Okay, so now most people in Pakistan, for example, do not work from home. They've never worked from home. Um, what should they be aware of? What should they prepare for?
Yeah, I think it's a big challenge with working from home and keeping that from living at work, because it all starts off with working from home and doing work. So I think it really helps to have a separation, both in time and in space, between your work and your home. That way, because it's very easy for both of them to kind of flow into each other, and it becomes very difficult to separate the work from the home and the home from the work. And then it becomes difficult to really say, am I giving home enough of the attention and energy that I need? Because maybe I'm spending everything on work stuff, and I'm doing that 24/7. And on the other side of it, am I letting home be too distracting from work? And am I not contributing how I need to. So I think it's important to have a space that's sort of dedicated from for work. So for me, it's on my porch, and when I'm in this part of the porch, I am working. And when I'm not in this part of the porch, I'm not working. So I find that's a very important um, change I put in place to kind of separate the two. And then try to have the same schedule as your coworkers, because if they're trying to get a hold of you and they can't, then they're going to be like, well, this guy's not working. And so, have fixed times, during 8 to 5, which is like the normal working time here in the US, Monday through Friday, I'm available for work. If there's anything that's work related, I come up. If it's outside that time, I might be available or I might not be available, depends on what's going on. But then really try to make sure all the family stuff stays outside of that time and try to keep all the work stuff inside that time. So that's what I think is important.
So if your sister said, I want to work from home, what kind of jobs are available for anyone who wants to work from home, in your opinion?
Yeah, there's such a variety of work from home jobs now, and there's really no kind of for sure path of getting a from home job. I think if you're doing like some type of software development, writing, YouTube channel creation. Um, I interviewed a guy on Friday who has his own YouTube channel where he designs robots, and that's like his sole source of income. Uh, and you have this work from home channel. Um, there's no reason why having, I mean, anything that you can imagine doing could be turned into a viable business if you connect with the right group of people. I mean, you could have a job working from home, being a work from home coach for other people working from home. Pay me so many dollars per week. We'll talk about your work from home situation. We'll give you some tools to help you balance work from life. We'll create you some tools to help you measure how much you're contributing to your company and how to make what you're doing more visible. I mean, that itself could be a job, right? I mean, uh, mm, so essentially anything that just requires moving bits around, information could be a work from home job.
That's a great idea, actually. That be- because somebody like you who has worked from home for a couple of years can start his own YouTube channel or online channel and work as a consultant for working from home. Because most people who are doing businesses around the world are not used to having employees working from home, so they don't even know how to get employees to work from home, how to manage them, how to assign them tasks. There's just confusion going around right now for those people. So here's another idea for you, which you came up with. Um, what else kind of jobs can people say? For example, people who are living in Pakistan, uh, what do you think they can do sitting at home from their computer? I mean, I personally feel they can do anything because be it in Pakistan or be it Houston, doesn't matter. The internet is the same. Um, what is your suggestion to them?
Well, you always have tutoring. So if you have people from Pakistan that are willing to teach people Urdu, there could be some people that want to go visit Pakistan or who have a family background that's from Pakistan that wants to reconnect with sort of their culture. Uh, you know, so Urdu tutor, I'm not sure how um, much of a demand there is for that, but that would definitely be something that people in Pakistan would have as a benefit, other than you know over somebody that's not in Pakistan, as an example. Um, video editing, it's very time consuming to take 100 hours of video and find 5 minutes of clips that are really impactful. Being able to have somebody that can do that, which could be done from any place, would be awesome. Transcription, being able to look at either the automated transcription and validate that it's right, or make modifications, would be something. Programming is always an option. There. I mean, you could come up with an idea for something like WhatsApp or Facebook or YouTube, or I mean, it's hard to imagine displacing those companies at this point. But there could be, like you and I were talking about earlier. There's a lot of people in India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan who can't even read or write their own name, that are having to depend on like voice assistants to be able to interact with the internet. Uh, there might be an option there for having ways of creating applications that help these people see. I mean, like for example, if you're doing an audio assistant, um, how are you going to have the same type of interaction with the internet as somebody that can read, in the sense of the amount of information you're able to peruse quickly? Like I do a search on Google and I get back, 100 search results. I can scroll through that and scan looking for stuff. But if I were to have an audio assistant like verbalize all of that, um, it's going to take hours to do what took me to do in seconds. Somebody that can solve that problem can really open up the internet in a way that's not currently opened up for these people that are having to go through an audio only interface. Um, so I think there's a huge opportunity there. I mean, it may seem very daunting, and there might not be a straightforward solution. I mean, it might take you years to come up with something that's viable, but I mean, how awesome would that be, even for people who can read? I mean, you have people driving in a car that are wanting to do voice type of interactions. So this technology that was really focused on people who only can do voice would have immediate applications to people who want to do voice sometimes, like via, while they're in the car or while they're bicycling, or what have you.
Right. Well, Pakistan is a big country. It's 250 million people. India is a big country. It's a billion point two people. Even if 30% can read and write, they can still become, millions, and, 300-400 million people are there to work online. It's already big enough chunk to depute. And for the rest of them, my interest is to teach them agriculture and other things which they could do. For example, in the US, there's so much land, and people who are, I mean, there is very low problem of illiteracy there, but we can. I'm trying here to have them cultivate more land and teach them more, new techniques of um, for working here.
I um, Unfortunately, I only have about 10 more minutes because of another situation that's arisen. So I
Yeah,
just needed to
no
let you.
problem. So, well, all of you all who are listening to us right now, Nathan is from Houston, Texas, and he is interested in hiring some people from Pakistan also for video editing, especially. What you can do is you can take this video, which you just watched, download it, edit it, and take out some nice piece of chunk 3-minute video and send it to Nathan. If you do a good job, he will probably hire you. One. Number two, if you want to have him host you for an interview, inbox him and set up a time that he can interview you on general topics, and that will lead into a job of some kind. Because once you are in front of people, you make your own value, and you will be able to make your value goes up, right? So we don't want people to work $100 a month forever. This is a start. This is an intern job. People should get started and make their way up there. And when you work for someone, you get different directions. You learn work ethics. You learn a lot of things at work just by working. So I encourage everyone to work. Don't waste your time while you're young, especially in watching TV too much, or news too much, or just thinking about problem. Thinking about problem doesn't fix anything. So if you have time right now, take advantage, learn something, get a job online. Nathan, before you go, please tell us some websites where people should go in the US and look for work online physically. I mean, like virtual work, like there used to be monster.com, ajb.org. What are the new websites which you have heard of where people can go and find work online as a job?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I haven't really been looking for a job. I've been in my same job for the past 5 years. And, you don't really have a need for it. You don't really keep up on it. So I really can't advise there. But about the other project you're talking about, the needing for the video editing, it actually ties right into working at home because as you're working at home, the only people I interact with on a regular basis is my family. And I would find that I would stay at home like for days in a week and not interact with anybody physically. And so I wanted a project that would get me out of the house and actually have to go talk to people and talk to strangers. And I have a passion around space exploration and, humanity branching out into the rest of the universe. And so I got this idea that I would interview a person every single day through the end of 2024 in person. I would prefer to interview like strangers or people that don't have a passion about space exploration. So I would go up to people in the mall, at Starbucks, on the street. In the UK, I was, on a train trip, and the person that next to me was a lucky guy that got to have an interview done. So, just anybody, but it helps to provide kind of that framework that makes you go out and connect with people. And that's the primary purpose of my Countdown to the Moon project. In 2024, NASA is supposed to land people on the moon again. And I thought it would be good to also get people's viewpoints all throughout this process. As we're so far away from it, when we get closer to it, when we've actually launched them, after we landed them, how have people's perceptions sort of changed and what have you. And I'm committed to doing these interviews, even if NASA's plans get canceled or if it gets delayed. And I'm committed to stopping at the end of 2024 because I think I started with 1,840 days to go, and I think 1,840 interviews is pretty much enough for this project. And I'll be anxious to start a new project at the end of that. So I do. I would like to create some highlight videos, um, and I could use some help in editing and stitching together some of the key moments across these videos. So yes, if you can edit this video and kind of show what you're capable of, I would love to hire you. And maybe we plan on just hiring you for 6 months, and then, as Rehan said, it should be a temporary thing where you grow into another thing, and then that last month we can have you train somebody else, and then I can hire them for 6 months, and then over the course of the next 5 years, I've hired 10 different people who would have started out with this and then gone on to other things, and uh,
Fantastic.
that would be kind of a good way, I think, to manage it.
This is a fantastic offer, Nathan. I love your mindset. You're very entrepreneurial. Thank you for. I think your company did a good job to hire you because you think of things which are not normal, which is fantastic skill set for your job. And I hope that we can keep in touch. And anybody who wants to interview you, they will inbox you. Rabia is here. She would interview you. I would encourage Kamran to interview you, and we should talk more because I am starting a lot of small classes online and projects like you're doing the moonshot. But we will talk another day. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much too, and I definitely look forward to getting in contact with anybody that's willing to interview over the next 1,732 days.
I will find you those people. Thank you.
Thank you.
सो अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, ये हमारे साथ नेथन थे और नेथन जो है ह्यूस्टन में रहते हैं। मैं आपको सजेस्ट करूँगा कि आप इनको अपने फेसबुक पे ऐड कर लें। हमारी जो ग्रुप है $100 इंटर्न, उसको आप ज्वाइन कर लीजिए। और अगर आप घर से बैठ के काम करना चाहते हैं तो ये आपके लिए बेहतरीन अपॉर्चुनिटी है। इस ग्रुप के अंदर मैं 1-2 दिन में इंटरव्यू शुरू कराऊँगा, लोगों के इंटरव्यूज़ होंगे, यानी कि जो लोग जॉब अप्लाई करना चाहते हैं उनके जॉब के इंटरव्यूज़ होंगे और बहुत सारी चीज़ें होंगी। स्टे इन टच, थोड़े से सब्र कीजिए, पेशेंस रहिए, इंशाल्लाह ताला आपका काम हो जाएगा, फ़िक्र नहीं कीजिए और हम सब मिल के अपने मसाइल को सॉल्व करेंगे। अकेले तो हम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।